Hi Verbling, my name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about conditionals. It's a tough topic, and we have a lot to go over today. If you guys have any other questions or comments on this class or any other classes I've done today, you can let me know on my Verbling inbox or on Facebook, and I'll put my Facebook name in the chat box for you. Okay, Adela, welcome to class. Adela, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, yes.
Awesome. Welcome to class. How's your week going so far?
Fine. Today I prepare my caravan to go tomorrow to
You're
my
leaving really
trip.
soon, right? Very cool. Very awesome. I'm jealous. You're going to have a wonderful vacation.
Yes, I need a vacation to relax.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I hope you have an amazing time. And of course, we're going to study a little grammar before you go. Do you think you'll be using any English on your trip?
No, because it's in the French Pyrenees. I speak French.
Ah, wow. Very nice. So
It's
you're
it's for immersion, French immersion.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So you're definitely not going to be using English. You're going to be practicing your French.
Yeah.
Impressive. Okay, and Paolo, welcome to class.
Hello, teacher. Thank you. I'm not hearing you.
Sorry, muted. How are you, Paolo? Having a good week so far?
Yes, normal week.
All right, good to hear. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start by talking about these zero conditionals. Adela, can you describe a little bit about the zero conditionals?
Zero conditional, I think they describe facts. No, this is probably is a fact. I think is present plus present. No.
Uh-huh.
And
So, yeah, we're talking about general truths, exactly.
yes.
Awesome. I put the notes for the zero conditional for you guys in the chat box, and I'll screen share as well.
Okay.
So here we go. We're going to see a few examples and then make our own sentences using the zero conditional. And Paolo, can you read this section that I'm highlighting for us right now?
Okay. When we talk about things that are generally or always true, we can use if, when, unless, plus a perfect form plus present simple or imperative. If he gets there before me, ask him to wait. When you fly budget airline, you have to you, you have to pay for your drinks and snacks. Unless you need more space, a small car is big enough for one person.
Thank you very much. And Adela, can you read this section for us with the blue and a couple examples?
And note that we are not talking about a specific event, but something which is generally true. In the condition clause, we can use a variety of present form. In the result clause, there can only be the present simple or imperative. If you visit London, go the London Eye. If unemployment is rising, people tend to stay in their present jobs. If you have done that, go that go and have a coffee. When
Thank you
you
very
go,
much.
okay.
Awesome. We just have a few more examples here. Paulo, can you read the others? These last three?
Okay. When you go on holiday, take plenty of sun cream. It will be very hot. When I'm concentrating, please don't make so much noise. When I've finished an article, I always ask Kate to read it through.
Thank you. So in these examples, we have some different conjugations. Look at this last example. Adela, can you tell us about which conjugations and tenses we're using in this last example of the zero conditional?
The when I finish is the present perfect.
Mm-hmm. And what about the other one?
They are the present perfect, the present continuous.
Okay, so we have I've finished, present perfect, you're
Mhm.
exactly right, and I ask, which is just present simple. That's an
Simple,
easy one.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the other is continuous
The one above,
and
you mean?
present.
This one up here? When I'm
No,
concentrating?
I'm
That one?
concentrating. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, you're just right. I'm concentrating. We've got continuous plus this one here, which is imperative. And this sentence that I'm highlighting, starting with when you go on holiday, take plenty of sun cream. Paolo, can you tell us what tenses we have in that sentence?
Well, I think that it using the future.
So the last sentence is using the future, but that's actually not part of our zero conditional. That's just additional information to help the the context of the sentence. So the first part, when you go on holiday, take plenty of sun cream. We have two verbs, and what are the tenses of them? The first one is when you go on holiday. So you go on holiday. What tense is that?
Mm, I don't know.
That's okay. It's simple present.
Simple.
And the next one is interesting because it's imperative, and you know that because there's no subject. All right, so we can use a bunch of different kinds of tenses for these. We're going to talk a little bit about unless, and then we'll move on. Paulo, can you read the part I'm highlighting with the first two examples here?
Okay. Note that unless means the same as if not. Unless he asks, you politely refuse to do any more work on the project. Unless prices are rising, it's not a good investment.
Thank you very much. And Adela, will you read the last example there for us? It's just one sentence.
Unless you have been there yourself, you don't really understand how fantastic it is.
Excellent. Do you guys have any questions before you make your own sentences in the zero conditional?
No.
Awesome. Then we're going to answer the first question. What is generally true about the weather in the city you live in? And one example is when you go to the beach, take plenty of sunscreen, it'll be very hot. So tell us a general truth about the weather of the area you live in. And you can put it in the chat box when you're ready.
To talk about the weather in my city.
Yeah, use the zero conditional, meaning one of those words like if or unless or when, to talk about the weather in your city.
Okay.
Okay, try to get those sentences into the chat box. So, zero conditional talking about the weather in the city you live in. And Paulo, read your sentence for us.
The weather in the city that I live is hot, but sometimes if you need to take a coat, you can wear it.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so if you need to take a coat, you can wear it. That works. Thanks, Paulo. Adela, do you have a sentence ready?
Uh, yes. Okay. When it rains in winter, don't take an umbrella. You'll break it.
Awesome. Great. And for that one, it
Because it's
makes
a
more sense.
windy, is a storm, is with wind. A brick, sorry, broke is the past, no?
Exactly.
Yes, broken, yes.
Awesome.
This is a storm, winter rains. It's not possible to take an umbrella.
Wow. Yeah, that's what do you do then?
A raincoat or the car.
Wow. Difficult. All right. Thank you guys very much. And we are going to do one more. Sorry. Can you guys still see my screen share or is it black now?
I can see.
Okay. My computer's doing something weird and I'm not sure why. But let's go on and we'll do one more example here of the zero conditional. So you guys can choose which question you find more interesting and answer it. The first one is, what is always true about transportation in your city? And the second one is, if I visit your country, what should I do? And there are some example sentences there for you. So we're going to do one more sentence in the zero conditional. So write a sentence answering one of those questions. And same thing, whenever you're ready, put it in the chat box. Awesome. Thanks, Adela. Read us your sentence.
If you take the bus, you arrive later to work.
Not very reliable bus system?
Is better. The metro is better because the bus, the traffic jam is a problem.
Got it. Thanks, Adela. Awesome sentence. It's perfect the way it is. And we have one more. Paula, read us your sentence.
The public transportation in my country is not so good, and we have a lot of traffic jam. Unless you want to go to somewhere by car. No sense this phrase.
So, what were you trying to say?
I was right that the public transportation is not so good in my country, but if you want to go to somewhere, you can go by car.
Got it. Okay. So, one way we could reorganize this is to say, unless you like traffic jams, use a car or go by car. And any of those would be great.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have any last questions on the zero conditional before we move into all of the other conditional cases?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to send the other notes for you guys in the chat box. And these ones are a little more organized, I think, than the other set of notes. And I'll screen share the new set for you as well. And they're more colorful, so that's fun. Okay, here we go. Conditionals. We're going to talk a little bit more about conditions and the three types of conditionals. So the last one was conditional, but it's kind of talking about a general truth. So it's not really considered a number of conditional sentence. That's why we call it the zero conditional. But there are three main types of conditionals. And how about Adela, can you read these paragraphs here, the first sentence on conditionals and type 1?
Yes. A conditional sentence consists of two parts: the depend subordinate it clause and the main will clause.
Awesome.
Type
And read, yeah, thanks. Read type 1 also.
Type 1. The dependent if clause usually indicates a real or possible situation that can happen in the present or in the future. And the main will clause express the result of the condition. Conditional sentence type I is often called called the real conditional because it is used for real or possible situation. The situation takes place if a certain condition is met.
Thank you very much. So that's the main idea, that type 1 is considered the real conditional, something that's possible for the future. All right. Paulo, can you read type 2 and type 3 and the note that's between them?
Okay. Type 2. The dependent if indicates a situation that is possible but very unlikely to occur, and the main will clause expresses the result of the condition. Note: in if clauses type 2, we usually use where, even if the pronoun is I, he, she, or it. Example: if I were you, I would not do this. Type 3. These refer to situations in the past. An action could have happened in the past if a certain condition had been fulfilled. Things were different then, however. We just imagine what would have happened if the situation had been fulfilled.
Thank you. All right. So that's a lot of words describing these sentences, and it'll be more clear as we start to look at them and understand them a little better, how they relate to actual meaning. But the important thing to remember is that from zero conditional all the way to condition number 3, it gets less real. So the zero conditional, we have something that is generally true, like a truth. And then in type number 1 conditional, we have something that is possible and even likely for the future. And 2, we have something that's possible but very unlikely. And in 3, we have something that's totally impossible because it's already over. It's in the past. And then, of course, we have this little note on using were instead of was. Do you guys have any questions before we go on to talk about the form of the conditionals?
No, but what is fulfilled?
Good question. Adela, can you come up with any definition for the word fulfill?
Um, I think um, um, is a condition has produced or has uh, I don't explain uh, occur, no, as a
Mm-hmm.
synonym. No, this is the condition has this occur. Is
Mm-hmm.
possible this synonym? I don't know.
Yeah. I think you're on the right track for a good explanation. So, another way to say it is when we have these conditional sentences, they give you a set of ideas, right? There's two parts. You might say something like, if I study for my exam, I will pass. And that's an example we're going to see later as well. So, if I clean my room, my mom will be happy, right? The condition we're talking about is the cleaning my room condition. So if I do that, if I satisfy that condition, if I fulfill the condition, then the rest will become true. So to fulfill this condition, it means you have to complete the proper action to make the statement true. Does that make sense?
Yes,
It's
yes.
sort of difficult to describe, but you'll see a little bit when we have examples to look at. It'll become a little more clear. All right, so we talked a lot right now about conditions, and there's a brief chart that kind of summarizes all of it. Type 1, possible to fulfill, as in possible to be true. 2 is condition in theory possible to fulfill, but very unlikely. And 3 is condition not possible to fulfill because it's too late. Then we have the form. Paulo, can you read the form for us?
Okay. T Type 1. Simple present. Will, future, or modal plus infinitive. Type 2. Simple past. Would plus infinitive. Type 3. Past perfect. Would have would plus have plus past participle.
Thank you very much. So those are the forms, the tenses we're going to be using to talk about each of these conditions. And we have some examples of exactly what that means. And if you'll notice, I've color coded it too. So the blue here, would plus have plus participle, matches up to would plus have plus participle down here. I would have passed. All the colors will match. Adela, can you read about the examples for us in this chart?
I will pass the exam if I study. I will pass the exam if I studied. I would have passed the exam if I had studied.
Thank you. So, Paolo, can you explain to me sentence number 1, I will pass the exam if I study? Explain to me what that means.
I will pass the exam. Well, in that case, he is say that he will study and he will pass the exam.
So when is the exam?
I don't know, in the future.
Exactly, in the future at some point. Okay, so that's a possible one. Laura, welcome to class.
Hello, sorry, I was on a mute.
Well, welcome to class. And
Thank
have you
you.
been watching this class or did you just jump in?
Just for the past few minutes.
All right. So if you need to catch up, I can give you time to do that. And I'll come back to you for the next question, maybe.
No, don't worry. The example is I could pass the exam if I studied, and in theory, if I study now, I would pass the exam in the future, in theory.
Awesome. So you just described the two, right? Number 2?
Yes.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you very much, Laura. And Adela, will you do us the favor of describing number 3 and what that would mean?
I did my exam and I failed it because if I had studied, I would have passed. It's not possible to return the another situation. It's impossible. Impossible situation.
Exactly. All right. So below that small chart, we have a much larger chart which gives you guys examples of every possible way, basically, of forming these sentences. That way we have type 1 in the positive and the negative, and in the contracted forms. So instead of writing everything out like I will pass, we use contractions I'll pass and I won't fail. Then in type 2, we have the same, positive, negative, and contractions, and type 3, positive, negative, and contractions, all color-coded for the form above. Any questions so far before we talk about a little more vocabulary?
No, I'm okay.
Excellent. Okay, so you might have noticed that there was a little star next to some of the conditionals. And that's because we can also use other words instead of would. You can substitute could, might, may, should, or must. But some of those words are a little difficult for students to use. So today I encourage you to try to experiment with some of those words if you're a little unsure of how they work. That way we can talk a little bit more about exactly how we can use these. And do you guys have any questions on these words here, would, could, might, may, should, or must, before we go on?
Might is the past of May?
No, they're both similar because they talk about probability, and it's something that's not very likely. So each of these modifies the probability a little bit, like would talks about desire. I would eat a chocolate cake if I had one, right? So I have a desire to eat a chocolate cake. But if I say could, it's talking about ability. I could eat a chocolate cake means I'm capable of eating a chocolate cake if I had one. But it doesn't mean that I want to, it just means I'm capable. Then we have might and may, and those are just modifying the probability to be a little less likely. Like I might eat a chocolate cake if I had one, or I may eat a chocolate cake if I have one. And the definition between them is not much different. The only real difference is how we use them. And I would say might is a lot more common. May is not as common. May is mostly used with permission for things in the present. Things like, may I use the bathroom, and may I have a drink of water. That's mainly what may is used for.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have should and must. And can anyone describe for me the difference between should and must?
Me?
Should is in advice. Sorry.
No,
Should
go ahead. No
is
problem.
should is in advice,
Mm-hmm.
and must is an obligation.
Yeah, exactly. Should is like a little bit watered down version. It's a good idea, but not maybe necessary, and must is necessary. Awesome. Okay, so the form is a little bit messed up on these, which I apologize for. I'm not really sure why it's like that. But we have fill in the blanks. So you guys are going to fill in these blanks and conjugate the verbs in the correct tense. The first set is for type 1. And if we review our form chart from above, we know that type 1 is going to be the simple present in the if clause and the will plus future or a modal plus an infinitive for the main clause. Be careful because sometimes those clauses can be reversed. It's not always if clause then main clause. Sometimes it's main clause then if clause. Okay, so let's try these. Number 1, Laura, can you fill in the blank? And you have to be a little creative because you have to come up with your own verbs for these blanks.
Yes, because I cannot display the anything. If Caroline and Sue have I don't understand the sense of the sentence.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about it. Sometimes it's hard to see exactly what the context is when we're missing those verbs. So we have Caroline, Sue, and Phil. We've got 3 different people here in this sentence. And then we have 2 nouns, the salad and the house. So what could 2 people, Caroline and Sue, possibly do to this salad? What are some verbs we could use there?
Ask for, eat, or...
Okay, eat is a possibility. Make is a possibility. So if we use eat or make in the first blank, what can we use in the second blank? What could Phil do to the house?
Leave the house. I don't know.
Sure. Why not? It's okay. You can put in whatever verbs you feel make sense in that situation. So use make or eat for the first one and leave for the second one and conjugate them in the correct tense.
If Caroline and Sue had, I don't know, have cooked the salad, Phil couldn't leave the house.
All right, maybe, but we're working on type 1 conditionals. So keep it simple. We're going to be conjugating in the simple present and the will future.
Okay,
so in the if clause.
Prepare the salad, Phil will not leave the house.
Sure, exactly. That works well. Thank you very much. Adela, will you do number 2?
If Sue put the onions for the salad, Carolina put Carolina will put the mushroom.
Sure, that works. And the only reason it sounds a little funny in the first part is because if we use the verb put, we probably would not use for. So, and we have some answers in the chat box if you guys are interested in looking. Amr is being very helpful right now. And yeah, make salad, will clean. Perfect for the first blank. The second one, we probably would change the first verb to something like chop the onions or cook the onions or slice the onions. Some verb with onions. But the other one was okay.
Okay, if Sue slice the onions for the salad, Carolina cook the mushrooms.
Great, excellent. Thank you very much, Adela. Paulo, will you do number 3?
Number 3. Jane could clean the sitting room if Aaron and Tim had bought the furniture.
What was the second one? Bow to the furniture?
Yeah, had bought the furniture.
Had about?
No. Buy in the past.
Bought. Okay, so the first problem here is that this is type 1, so we're not using the past. We're using the simple present and the will plus the future. Can you say the sentence again using the simple present in the if clause and will plus the future in the main?
Jane is sitting. Ja- Jane is clean the sitting room. If Aaron and Tim this
So your
Ja-
verbs are good. Clean works well for the first blank, but we need a will there. Oh, actually, yeah. Yeah, we need a will there. So Jane will clean the sitting room if Aaron and Tim, and then your verb in the simple present.
if Aaron and Tim uh, put the furniture.
Sure, put would work. Buy works really well too, which is what you mentioned earlier. So both of those would be fine. Jane will clean the sitting room if Aaron and Tim put the furniture away or buy the furniture, something like that. All right. This time I'm going to start giving you guys some of these verbs just so you guys don't have to think too hard about which verbs go in these blanks. And number 4, we're back to Laura. So Laura, for blank number 1, use clean, and blank number 2, use polish.
If Bob clean up the kitchen, Anita will polish the toilet.
Excellent. Just make sure you have an S on the end of cleans because it is a third person singular.
Yes, if Bob cleans up the kitchen, Anita will polish the toilet.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Adela, number 5. This time we'll use...
Prepare?
Yeah, sure. Prepare works. And help for the second one, if that works for you.
The second, what is? Tell?
Help. So prepare and help.
Help. Elaine will prepare the drinks if somebody help her carry the bottles.
Excellent. Okay, now that we don't have to come up with the verbs, it seems like it's going a little easier, and I think you guys are really getting it. Do you guys have any questions before we go on to the type 2 practice?
No.
Awesome. Then anywhere you see these gray boxes is where you'll be putting your verbs. And as a quick reminder, type 2, we're going to be using the simple past in the if clause and the would plus infinitive for the main clause. And of course, you could always change out would for another of those modal verbs that we talked about. So simple past, would plus infinitive. And Paula, will you start us off with number 1? The blanks are going to be invite. Wait. Invite and buy. So invite for the first blank and buy for the second blank.
The first, right?
Invite. Oh yeah, you want me to write it in the chat box?
No, the first, right?
Invite, as in ask a person to come to your house? Invita.
No, yeah, but the first question.
Oh yeah, exactly. Sorry, I thought you meant
okay.
write as in write down.
No, okay. I would invite all my friends if what's the second?
Buy.
If I bought a house by the beach.
Excellent. Wonderful job, Paolo. Thank you. Laura, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this time we'll say take for the first blank and want for the second blank.
I'm sorry, what's the first verb?
Take for the first blank and want for the second blank.
I go. Sorry, I'm having problems with the document here, and I can see the sentence.
Can you see it on my screen share? I can make it bigger if that would be helpful.
No, it's just that something is happening with my internet, I think.
Oh, that's so annoying. I hate when that
Yes,
happens.
I'll be back in a second.
Okay, we'll see you in a second then. In the meantime, Adela, can you do these for us? The first one is take,
And the second?
want.
Okay. I will I will take my friends up in my yacht if they would to spend their holidays on my island.
Okay. So did you say I will take my friends up in my yacht?
No, I'd I
I
take
see. I'd take my friends up in my yacht if they
would to spend is want no wanted.
exactly.
Sorry, is wanted to spend their holidays on my island.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Perfect sentence. And Paula, will you do number 3 for us? We, and then the first blank is going to be throw, throw, and come for the second one.
Okay. We would throw great parties if my friends. What's the second?
Come, C-O-M-E.
Come. If my friends came to my island.
Yep, excellent. We would throw great parties if my friends came to my island. Awesome. Thanks, Paulo. Adela, number 4. And this time we'll use go. Wait, no.
If
Want for the
I
first. Oh, do you have an idea? Go ahead.
no go to the first.
Want for the first blank and take for the second blank.
Okay. If we went to go shopping in a big city, we'd take a helicopter.
Excellent. If we wanted, we would take. Thank you very much, Adela. And Paulo, back to you for number 5. Oh, and the verbs, let's see. If my friend's holiday, the first one will be the verb to be, and the second one is also the verb to be.
Okay. But if my friends holidays um, is over, I but if my friends holidays would I don't know would is over.
All right, so let's check above where we have our little chart. Simple past for the if clause, would plus infinitive for the main clause. So let's look at this again. The if clause, simple past. So, oh wait. Yeah, if my friend's holidays were over, I would be very lonely on my island. So would plus infinitive for the last one. Yeah, that's kind of tricky with the verb to be because it's so irregular.
Michaela?
Oh my gosh, sorry. I was talking forever while I was muted. Awesome job on these. And we only have one set left. where the form is the past perfect for the if clause and would plus have plus past participle for the main clause. Adela, will you attempt number 1? And I'll help you guys out with the verbs here, especially because it's
If
actually quite difficult.
if the my first had been the ball more exactly has put no? The ball more exactly our team
So a good one here would be
no
throw or catch.
first had cashed our
Caught? Irregular.
team uh, irregular catch our team would have been more chance to attack.
Awesome conjugation. B is a little bit weird for the second blank. It might be better if we say have, so that would be would have had more chances to attack, but the conjugation was perfect. Thank you, Adela. Number 2, we're back to Paulo, and the first blank will be move, the second blank make. Go ahead and conjugate that, Paulo.
Okay. If the forwards would have move
So that
would
one is going to be the past perfect because it's the if clause.
past perfect.
Uh-huh.
If the forwards uh, could move it faster.
There's no modal here because it's just the past perfect. It would become if the forwards had moved faster. And then the next one we will use a modal. They
They had make more goals.
okay, they could have made or would have made, might have made more goals. Good? Let's try number 3. Adela, can you do number 3 for us? And the blanks here
I
are
invent their motivation had
fall
increased
and
had,
oh,
in, had increased if
that's perfect.
they would have achieved a goal during the first half. Oh
Awesome.
no, because it's
So
not.
there's also one other problem here, and that is that these phrases are switched. The if clause is second this time, and the main clause is first. So you're going to have to switch the conjugation also.
Their motivation could have increased if they uh, had put a goal during the first half.
Excellent. Awesome conjugation. And for the second one, a better verb might be make or score. But the conjugation was perfect. So the new sentence.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Adela.
Yes, I remember.
Number 4, Paolo. Will you give that one a try and use the verbs make for the first blank and block for the second blank. Make and block.
Okay. Okay. The fullbacks on would make one or the other goal if they if they uh, if they could had blocked their opponents.
Pretty close. The first one was good, but we need to change it to the participle. So the fullbacks would have made, with a D, one or the other goals if they had blocked their opponents, because the second blank is going to be past perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paulo. And Adela, will you finish this up for us and do number 5? Adela, are you there? I'm having a little trouble hearing you. All right. Sorry, Adela, I can't hear you right now. Let us know in the chat box if you'd like to answer this one, writing it maybe? In the meantime, Paolo, let's have you try this one. The first...
Goalie.
Oh, are you back? Great. So possibilities would be get for the first blank and catch for the second blank. Adela's gone. So Paolo, can you help us out and do number 5? Get for the first blank and catch for the second blank.
Okay. If the goalie would have get up.
This one is the if clause. If clause.
If the goalie had get up.
Yeah, had gotten up.
Okay, get up, and he would catch the ball.
Yeah, he would have caught the ball because caught is the irregular participle of catch. All right, we have done a lot of work today, and all the answers, oops. Oh yeah, the answers to all of these are actually on the other document I sent you. So if you have any questions, go ahead and look at the zero conditional document, where below it has all the answers to these type 1, type 2, and type 3 fill in the blank. Do you have any other questions or comments before we finish up today?
No.
All right. Thanks for sticking with me, Paolo. You're the only one who maintained connection for the whole class. So it was great to have you and everyone else who tried to participate today. And I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.